Hey, everybody, it's Justin. Welcome back to Fly on the Wall podcast. Today I'm with Dave Hill, and I'm gonna read off a whole list of things. You're an actor, you're a comedian, you're a composer, a musician, a writer, producer. Okay, is there anything else you do that I'm not aware of?
Oh, I don't know. Just kind of do stuff.
You've got a whole list of things. So years ago, way at the infancy of HD television.
Mm-hmm.
So this was about 14 years ago because I was still living in South Carolina at the time. There was a show that came on and it was called King of the Hill. And I was like,
King of Miami.
yes, King of Miami, sorry. And I was like, God, who is this guy? And it was funny and ridiculous. And I was like, who would do this? And it was you. It was you getting spray tans and smoking cigars and having a great time. I was like, holy cow, this guy's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh,
I,
thank you.
I started following you way back then. So that's been about 14 years now.
Wow. Yeah, I was just thinking about that show yesterday. Thinking, where's the time gone? Um, yeah, it came out almost exactly 14 years ago, and yeah, pretty wild. And I had just started really doing comedy around then, and was I mean, I'm still very naive about many things, but I think I was so I'd only think I started doing comedy in like 2005, so that happened like weirdly fast that I got a TV show. And I just thought like, oh well, this is how I guess this is how it works. They just give you a TV show, and
Yeah, you just
and
kind
I
of
was like,
kind of fall
and
into it after a couple of years.
yeah, which is I was very lucky and I was like, oh, I'll probably just keep doing my own TV show of different versions of my own TV show, and that'll be my what I'll do. And as my IMDb page will tell you, that is the only show that was my show. I've done many other things since then, but it's the only time a network or anyone's been like, yeah, let's give Dave his own show. So it's a harsh lesson to learn over time. The
But I
cruel
mean, how
mistress
was that
show
experience for you?
business.
So you said you'd just gotten into comedy, so you'd been at it for just a couple of years.
Yeah, I started in 2005, and that's when I started doing it regularly. I mean, I kind of had a weird path into it in that I started writing for television in about 2003, and then I started goofing around with video and stuff, and actually a show I was writing for called Smoking Gun TV
I
that came
remember
in
that.
came out I think in 2004. I was hired as a writer, but I had been screwing around, in my apartment with video, and was brazen enough to just bring might have even been a VHS tape. I don't remember to the office and was like, "Hey, here's me being stupid." And then I wound up on the show doing a couple segments, and then I was writing TV again, and a buddy. So I basically I'd been on a TV show before I had ever performed live comedy, which is sort of the backwards way of doing it. Um, and then my buddy Tony Carnivale, we were sharing an office at VH1 where I was writing on stuff there briefly, and he and my friend Sean Taylor, they did a show together in the back of Parkside Lounge on Houston Street, and they asked me to do something, and so I went down and just tried performing, you know, live. I had no act whatsoever, and I just printed out. I had been keeping like a journal just to stay in the practice of writing. And I just read from that, and that's kind of how it started. And that was actually like, I can tell you, it was like, I think it was actually technically December 23rd, 2004. And so really 2005 is when I started doing stuff regularly. And then, so yeah, the TV show came along. And I'm sorry, I'm just rambling and reliving things in my brain and
It's
saying them out loud.
kind of what I wanted to do, because it's like I've been talking to you. It's been for almost 14 years, on
Yeah,
and
the
off.
magic of the internet.
Yeah, the magic of the internet. I was like, I have to find this guy Dave Hill, because he's kind of goofy and he's hilarious. So I'm like, I need to find him and interact somehow, and so I did. And
There we go.
from the beginning, I have to say you were very kind, very open armed, and you were like, yeah, if you want to come up and visit, it'd be great to have you up here. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. So we just kept in touch. But yeah, that was my introduction to you was HD on my television.
Yeah,
And
it was yeah, when it was I remember all that. Yeah, it was like at a time when not every station was in HD, so it was like a novelty. I remember even when we shot the show, I did it with my friend Elise Roth, who's a great producer, and we, created the show together, and part of the thing of it was that it was in HD, so we had to. It was like, oh, it's in HD. We got to, there was sort of a mandate to like get shots that looked, like
yeah, they
have
were
you on like a
gorgeous and
yeah,
well thought out, and
yeah, like it'd be like, get a parrot on your shoulder and things like that. Things that look good on big HD TVs. And now, I think every TV is HD.
yeah, I
I
think
don't
every
even know.
TV's HD. You can now get HD. Oh, so for everybody that doesn't know, because I have a couple listeners that are younger than us, that
Uh-oh.
televisions were not always flat. And my first introduction to an HD TV was this big rolling cart thing, and not every station was HD. You had to pay extra for it. So you had to pay a premium service, and it was everybody. That was kind of like, that was the hook. I was like in HD, and you wanted to watch it, and that was
Yeah,
it.
it was luxury living.
Yeah, we were bougie.
Yeah. Hey, my mic. Do you mind if I reset my mic? Cause it's fucking up a bit here.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just
Well,
gonna switch to a less sucky mic that I have here.
yeah,
Just a
that's fine.
sec. One sec. How is that? Is that working?
Oh yeah, that's amazing. A lot
Okay.
more clear.
Yeah, I think it's just some. I have a bad cord on this other mic. Now I'm back and better than ever.
Back in business. Yeah, mine through the mixer, it eventually, the mic is still stays clear, but then like the monitor feed through to the headset gets all staticky, and I actually have to unplug the XLR cable and plug it back in. So I don't know why it does
Uh,
that. I haven't figured that out yet. So we were talking about your start in television, which apparently you really
sorry.
hadn't planned for.
No, I
And
mean, I don't really plan for anything though. For better or for worse, I just kind of uh, ride the wave of life, and wherever it goes,
so you
I
do
go
a
with
lot
it.
of writing. Is that something you've always done, is write, or is that something you wanted to develop and learned, or
Yeah, I think I want. It was something. I mean, really, if you look at everything I do, it's just avoiding the real world and whatever whatever I needed to do to avoid getting a proper job and joining the quote unquote real world. This is all the things that I do. So with writing specifically, my sister is a journalist, and was she I had maybe a vague interest in writing, and then years ago, like 20 more than 20 years ago, whenever like I was living with her, I was kind of drifting between her house and my parents' house, the next town over. Didn't just kind of would show up at either one of their houses at the end of the night and sleep there. And so, do you remember like the AOL discs that would be sent to your house every
Yeah.
15 minutes and then at tail end of the night? So we got the internet at the house. We got the dial-up internet on her PC, and we didn't understand that we thought an email address was like a landline. We didn't understand that everyone would have your you would need why would you need more than one email address for a home? That was our thinking. We thought like what why would so we had one email address because
Yeah.
we
Why
thought
would you
that
need
was
more?
yeah, so it was just the two of us. We're like, why would we have two separate email addresses for the same house,
Hey,
same computer?
to be fair, my parents still do that. They share
Yeah,
everything.
so so we did that, and I started emailing friends and things like that, and she and her boyfriend just started reading, because we would be like, hey, I read the email. You have an email from this person. It would be like checking the answering machine, like, oh, there's a message from whoever. You should check it out.
Right.
We would do that with email, and gradually, like one night, like she and her boyfriend just started reading my emails for fun, not in an invasive way, but just because, you know, I wasn't. I was just writing bullshit to people. It was nothing. I didn't care. I wasn't bothered that she was reading what I had written. Anyway, so she was like, you should maybe think about getting into writing. Partially because I think she liked my writing, but also because I think she was genuinely worried for my future, like what the hell I was gonna
Yeah.
do
What are you gonna do, Dave?
to pay the bills and things like that. And so she got me into right. She brought me into the Cleveland Plain Dealer, where she was a reporter at the time, and they used to have, was called the Friday magazine, which is sort of like, human interest. There's a new chicken wing restaurant opening, just kind of, arts insert thing.
Right.
So I started writing, I think about 1999 was the first thing I wrote for them, and I started doing that, and then I started emailing just websites at random. I emailed Salon, and I would send these ridiculous emails, I was asking to write for people, and Salon specifically, an editor. The sex editor wrote back. I think her name was Karen Croft, if I'm remembering correctly. And she said, usually the general email address on our website, no one ever sees that, or just like an intern reads it and decides whether anyone needs to see. And so she's just like, your email was so stupid. I don't know if that's the word she used, but she was like, that, it was sent to the whole company. So I ended up writing for them. I wrote the first piece I wrote, so the sex section. I wrote what ended up being the first mainstream news article on plushophiles and furries, like, people that
Yeah.
have sex with stuffed animals or dressed up in mascot uniforms and have sex and things like that. So that got a lot of attention, and then from there, meanwhile, like, I had friends in New York and LA who were working in television, and they started, like, do you want to do this and that? So I started doing things like while I was still living in Cleveland, and then I came to New York for the weekend, and I had been writing for this. And you can tell me to shut up at any point. I'm just rambling. But I
No,
had been
I
writing.
find it all interesting. It's like an
I
origin
had been
story.
I had been writing for a show on Spike TV, which I don't think is on the air anymore. But there was a show called Crash Test, and they would have writers come into like the weekly meeting, like guys that weren't on staff, and you would just pitch jokes for this hidden camera show. And my buddy John Kimbrough got me, he was doing music for the show, and he got me involved. And I never told them that I lived in Cleveland. So the meetings were in New York, and I would show up. They would be like, "Hey, we're having a writers' meeting Thursday. Do you want to come?" I'd be like, "Yeah." Oh,
Like, of
they
course,
paid.
I'll be there.
Yeah, they would pay like $200 for the meeting, so I could just buy a last minute ticket on Southwest, and I'd fly up, go to the meeting, stay over, and then come home. And I just never mentioned that I didn't live in New York. I wasn't mentioning that I was like doing a 500-mile commute. And so one day they were like, "Hey, can you just be full time starting next week?" And I was like, "Oh, all right." So that's how I moved to New York. Um, I just was here with a duffel bag, and I just never left.
It sounds like a lot of, because I've got a few friends that have done that. They're just like, I'm just going to go to New York. I'm just going to go do it. It's like, where are you going to live? They're like, I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, you kind. I mean, that's kind of how you have to do it, unless you have like a trust fund or
Yeah,
unless
unless
you have
you've got
your
a lot of
shit
money, which,
together.
yeah, which a lot of us don't.
And for me, at the time, I think the world has changed a lot since that was 2003,
Yeah.
and I think there's people can do a lot of things from all over. Obviously, more than ever. But for me, it was good to be in New York because in Cleveland there just weren't. I just didn't know many people doing the things that I wanted to do on the level that I wanted to do it. I didn't know anyone. I Not that I had planned to become a comedian even at this point. Um, but writers, I knew only a couple writers in Cleveland that were doing, kind of humorous essays and things like that I was curious about. And then you come to New York, and in a very all of a sudden you're meeting like, all of a sudden I knew David Rakoff and Malcolm Gladwell, and you're just kind of meeting the people that are doing the things that you aspire to. Just because that's people. There's just more people here and
Right.
more people doing stuff. So for me, it made things more tangible to the idea of doing things didn't seem as abstract and unattainable because I was just like, oh, this guy's sitting across from me drinking a beer right now. So I guess he seems like a normal guy. I could just do that, I guess.
Well, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that actors and comedians, musicians, anybody that's got like a public talent, they're all people, and that the things that they do, it's attainable, and you can have conversations with people, and I think that's what's so good about now is that if you want to have a conversation with a person, you just hop on Zoom and you have a
Yeah, yeah.
conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
it's you learn. It's a learning process. You can learn from other people, and yeah, it's completely different from what you and I had to do. So if I wanted to do something, I had to hustle. When I became a concert photographer, I didn't have anybody necessarily to teach me anything. I just kind of had to figure it out. And then, through time and surrounding myself with those people, it was, I got gradually better and honed my craft and did things like that. Um, so now I'm curious. When did you get into playing music?
That was, I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to play guitar when I was a kid. I mean, like, a lot of people do. Uh, and my dad wanted me to play piano first to prove that I was sincere about my interest in music. Because when you're a kid, I have no idea what kids are into now. It seems like they don't want to rock as much, but
No, well, I
you know,
think I don't think they put the, and I'm going to generalize here. But
please.
I don't think that they put the effort into it. Like if it doesn't come easy, it seems like it doesn't happen to its full potential. Like you can buy a kid a guitar or an instrument to be like, play, I can get you lessons, and then it's like a month later they're done. Whereas like if
Yeah,
grew up in like the 80s and earlier or later, and you got a guitar, it's because you earned the money and you went and got it and you hung out with your friends in a garage and you plucked away at it until you figured out how to play something. Whereas now
yeah. I
there's so many
mean, what?
distractions.
Yeah, I think so. But even with that, they, when I was a kid, I remember, I think in eighth grade, which is when I started playing guitar. There was this big wave of kids getting electric guitars in eighth grade, and people fall by the wayside pretty quickly. Whether they're going to commit to it and really, make it a part of their lives and what they do, and whatever. If people don't, it doesn't matter, whatever. But I just was into it, and just always kind of stuck with it. And as I get older, it's in recent years it's become interesting to me in different ways because with being my job being a comedian and uh, writer and musician and stuff like that, actually playing, so much of what I do is being so far up my own ass and in my head, and thinking about just kind of, it's not like a physical thing, and so guitar is has become, it's nice to have like a physical thing to actually pick up
Yeah,
an instrument and
you do
work
get
at
into
it.
your own head a lot. I do the same thing, and I actually have to have a physical release. Otherwise, it eventually kind of drives me crazy.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I like to practice the guitar, and I try to do things that I really have no practical use for in terms of what I do with my own music. And I mean, probably like the more technical, like shreddy kind of things that I mess around with, I use those in more like in my comedy shows because it's just silly to do some things like that. But it's just fun. And then I love guitars. I think they're like sort of interactive art. At least that's the excuse I make when I buy them because
Yeah,
I've
I've got a few. They hang on my walls, and I look at them and I clean them, and restring them, and I'm like, "God, that looks good."
yeah, it's kind of but it's as I the walls close in on me with, I mean, my apartment's just, it's too many guitars. I've like trying to force myself to get rid of some before the next round shows up because there's more already in the pipeline that haven't even shown up yet.
Wow. So
Um,
you okay? I think you've got. I know you've got the band Valley Lodge, or
hmm
had, or I don't know if you guys are still playing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we haven't played, you know, in over a year at this point. But yeah, you know, I think that's just kind of a going thing.
And then
We'll make some new music soon, I'm sure.
and Witch Taint.
Witch Taint, yeah, and Painted Doll would be the other one. My
And
band
Painted Doll. That's right. That was the one I
with
was
Chris
missing.
Ryford. Yeah. So yeah, I have those bands and rock out when I can. Though I actually saw a couple of the Witch Tank guys the other day, which was the first time I've seen any bandmates in over a year. So, um,
How's the quarantine been? I mean, Like for me, it was it's a little weird because I do a lot of concert photography, and there's been no concerts, there's been nothing.
Yeah.
No venues are open. They're opening, I think, in August here, or they're open. I have a festival coming up in August, I should say, and it's been weird just to stay home. Like
Yeah.
I liked it for the first few months because I'm
Oh,
cool
yeah.
staying at home.
The first two, I've got to say, the first 2 months of the pandemic were some of the best times of my life.
Yeah,
Aside from I'm mostly kidding. I mean, I did, enjoy, because it was the first time in 15 years that I felt like I was not getting on planes and things like that every other week, and so that was nice.
so for you, it was
Um,
more of a decompression.
yeah, because I've spent since a long time now, uh, just going, um, and so it was nice, and but obviously very stressful because uh, pandemic, and then you know, uh, political situation in America and the world was.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't try to get too political on here because it irritates me. But
No, I understand. No, but it was
how,
just
how
it was
happy
just like
were
a
you?
stressful time.
I
But
personally laughed my butt off our when Trump got his Twitter deleted. I laughed so hard on that. And then
yeah,
I was like, Dave got kicked off Twitter for saying your mom jokes.
I know. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I got permanently like banned for life from Twitter for uh, responding to insults from Trump supporters with
It
mom
was I
jokes that
followed the
like
whole
a
thing. I was like, oh my god,
fifth
and then he
grader
was
would make.
gone.
Yeah, but I was I recommend. I think, this isn't a sour grapes thing. I truly encourage everybody to delete Twitter. I don't think it serves any positive purpose in the world. Um,
No, it's kind of like where Facebook's headed or is at now. Facebook's not what it used to be, and it's kind of gotten it just seems to me like a lot of jaded, angry people.
yeah, I mean, I think these things always evolve. Facebook, like initially, I was like, oh, I was actually using it to
Yeah.
keep in touch with friends and family.
Yeah, that's how I got in touch with you for no. How did I get in touch with? I don't remember. But I've been in touch with you through Facebook for a long time.
Yeah, maybe and then it kind of, but I think once it expanded to where like it was just like anything else, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, this isn't a place where I can like have any sort of personal, like I don't really post personal things and anywhere
Yeah.
because um
Well,
I
nowadays you can't
feel
say
like
anything without getting ripped apart.
yeah,
Is
but
the
I
problem.
mean, even like I don't post anything about my friends and family, because it's like I'm in touch with those people in real life, so I don't uh post. If it's my dad's birthday, I call him. I don't post a photo of him and tell everyone it's my dad's birthday. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just I just don't do that, because then you're putting it out to tens of thousands of
Yeah.
people,
And
and
then the world knows.
I just don't see the point in that, because they don't know my dad.
No, they don't know your dad at all. So
And he doesn't use Facebook.
recently, might I understand you started a clothing line also.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't quite launched yet, but I being home, I was back in Ohio for most of the past year. uh I started doing a lot of artwork, because that's what and it's a cliche, but my first love is drawing and painting and that stuff. That's like what I did before anything. But I don't do as much of it in New York just because there's not room to do it. And when I got back in Ohio, there's room, so I started painting and drawing a lot more. And then along the lines, I was like painting. I'd go to the flea market and get like a saw or a hatchet, and I'd paint these like floral patterns
Yeah,
and stuff on
I
it.
saw the hatchet, and I was like, that's I like that a lot. I
Oh,
didn't buy
thank
it,
you.
but
Oh, it's all right. I think I mean, I have some more here, but that I'm gonna do. But um,
and I think you did a baseball, and
yeah, I did
you did a
like a
few
bunch
things
of
that were really cool.
baseballs at one point, and it was just like kind of fun, relaxing thing. And
Is there a meaning behind the daisy?
no, just
No.
I just like it. Um, and I just like, it's just relaxing to do and play with the colors. I don't really care about the end product, honestly. Like, I just like doing it, and I think it's part of the fun of it is I don't give a shit what anyone thinks of it. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't just there's no end game. It's just something that I
It's for
enjoy
your
doing.
it's for your own gratification. So
Yeah. So, but as I was doing it, like I did this one thing for my buddy Chris's mom, and then I was like, oh, that would look kind of cool, like on clothes. Dresses would probably be pretty cool because that's a lot of fabric, and there you could get the repeat of it. And
yeah.
so my friend Corey works in fashion, so I was talking to her about it, and she's like, oh, let's do it. And so we designed 3 dresses. I mean, it's just literally just the two of us, so we just each put in some money, designed 3 dresses with patterns that I did, and it's called Bunny, which is named after my mom. And people can go to thebunnyshops.com. And right now we just have the one dress for sale, but we'll have a couple more in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, it's just like a fun thing to
That's a pretty
try,
cool
and
progression. That it
we'll
was kind of
see.
like it sounds like for you it was more therapeutic to get your mind off of things and to keep you active within your own rights, sitting in the house or whatever. And it's now evolved into a physical fabric pattern dress, somebody can wear it.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was just and hopefully it'll go well. I mean, people seem to be into what we've been doing so far, but I mean, I don't know shit about the clothing fashion industry or anything. Other than I know what I like, but I don't the business end of it. I don't know anything. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll go well, and yeah, but no, it was just fun to do because I wasn't. The thing with the pandemic is I wasn't thinking of performing live, so my brain just wasn't writing jokes or any material in that regard at all. And initially I was writing music, and then when it became apparent that this was going to go on for a long time, my brain kind of shut down with
Yeah.
music too, because I was just like, I'm not going to be in a room with my bandmates. I'm not going to go to the studio. I'm not going to do any of that. So my brain just kind of shut off that. So
If
I
I don't
spent.
do something for an extended period of time, or like for me when the pandemic started, it was like the excitement of buying a house. Stop it. The excitement of getting everything moved from South Carolina to Utah, and all that busy work. And then it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
lot of sitting. And with like when I try to teach myself guitar or something like that, if I don't do that for a while, it's like you said, it just kind of turns off that part of your brain. Or if I don't paint, or if I'm not trying to do something creative, uh, it's like my brain just turns off, and
Mm-hmm.
I become just this lump of flesh that sits, and I don't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to start a podcast, and I was like, I have to I have to do something, and thank God it seems to be working. And then August, I've got concerts coming back up. So it looks like
Nice.
life's starting to get kind of back to normal.
Yeah, it seemed, interesting that way. I'm curious how it shakes out. Hopefully it'll go well. Like New York, they're saying is going to open up July 1st, like 100%, no restrictions of any sort. Um, so hopefully that'll go well. I mean, I pretty much, I don't really hang out anywhere, and like, I like do shows, and I only go to bars and restaurants that aren't popular. So, with a
And
few
this is why we
exceptions,
click. I get that. Yeah,
I just kind of go where I'm not,
I kind of go where nobody else is.
Yeah, that's my preference. I mean, I do maybe I no, I mean some restaurants I do go to some popular restaurants, but I try to go. I try to just kind of lay low most of the time, and then perform and do my thing. But so I'm not really like, um, I think I'll be able to see how things shake out before.
Before you get
And
involved with
if
it.
it goes south, I'll know ahead of
You'll be
time.
safe from your apartment.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, it sounds like that, But I do look forward to going to, to con. That's one thing. Like as like, I do look forward to going to see bands and stuff whenever that will be. Um, but yeah. So who knows?
Well,
Who knows what'll happen?
hopefully we
Hopefully
can have
it'll go well.
Sundance next year. This year.
I hope so. Hopefully I'll be invited. I mean,
Well, you
the
just show up with your freaking ice skates and a mobile amp and a guitar.
yeah. Well, I mean, if they hire me, I'm in. I'm in. So
Well, I'll be there if you're there. Sometimes I get invited because the radio stations do their own thing, and they're like, we got this going on up here. Do you want to show up? And it's like, and then my whole social, I don't want to be around people. Like, you think
mm-hmm.
I'd be okay being in public around crowds, but I'm on the other side of the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in front of the barrier, not on the other side. And I kind of have issues with that. So it's like,
No, yeah, I'm the same way. Like I'm the worst really when it comes to going to shows. I'll go to a show in like a small club, and if it's at a big venue, I'll pretty much only go if I'm getting like some sort of special access where I can avoid being like pressed up against a lot of
mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah,
Because otherwise it's hell.
well,
Hell. I'm an old man.
I'm stupid people. And no, I totally get that. But yeah, I'm cool if I'm on the other side of the barrier, period. So God, well, we've managed to kill about an hour, and I think it's gone pretty well. It's been
Thank you for having me.
very nice to talk to you. Let me do this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dave Hill. Dave Hill, actor, comedian, magician, writer.
No, man, I don't know any magic tricks yet.
Musician. You're the only one of my people I met and know that's not a magician. It's
yeah. Weird. I honestly don't know a single magic trick. I apologize.
That's all right.
I don't even know card tricks.
I don't know any.
I can't even juggle.
I've got a friend that will make cards appear while you're sitting on it and guess which card you're sitting on. I don't understand how he does it.
It's annoying.
I think he's a warlock. I think that's how that works.
Maybe.
But Dave, it's been awesome to catch up with you, to speak with you, to
thank you.
Essentially be face to face. I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
But I wish you well on the clothing line, and hopefully we can get together at Sundance at some point. And
yeah, I think you're putting it out into the universe, so hopefully they'll have me this I would love it. I always have fun. I like to get out there, see some folks, see the beautiful nature, and
Utah's pretty. It
drink
gets a
some
little
low
cold and a
alcohol
little
beer.
hot. Yeah, yeah, some real low 3.5%. Welcome to
That's
Utah.
my only beef with Utah is the uh, the fact that they make you work so hard to get a decent beer.
We had a we had I think it was Nothing But Thieves come through, and they're from England, and they
Mm-hmm.
were like, "What is this piss water?" We're like, "No, no, no, this is just the beer here." They're like, "This is terrible. This is all. Where's the alcohol?" We're like, "There's no alcohol here. It's regulated
Yeah,
by Utah." They're like, "That's really weird. I'm gonna have to drink a bunch of these." I'm like, huh, "Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to work hard for that buzz."
yeah. What are you gonna do?
Well, let's see. Well, thank you again, Dave. I appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
on